Hey, everybody. On today's episode of How Do I Destroy My Kitchen, we are going with lemon muffins slash cupcakes. They're kind of a little bit of both. But what we're going to do is, I know the lemon muffins work. I've done these before, but I had an idea of taking the concept of a lemon meringue pie and turning that protein and incorporating it into the muffins. So we're going to start with the muffin recipe and we're going to make that. And then we're going to head on into an adventure of how to make lemon meringue filling with some lemon jello mix. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an adventure. So anyway, to start with the muffins, we are going to do 1 1/2 cups of almond flour. We are going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda and then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And of course, because we all know I love to bake with protein powder, don't really do the shakes, but I love to bake with it. I got some vanilla because, well, I haven't thought about looking for lemon. I'm sure there's lemon out there somewhere, which would probably amp up the lemon in this, but we're going to go with vanilla. And we're going to do 2 scoops of vanilla protein powder. And then 2 boxes of the sugar-free jello pudding mix. All right, and then we're going to give this, yes, I definitely just made a mess. Dogs are currently very much enjoying it off of the floor. So apparently we need to be careful when we're putting the pudding powder in. So we're going to mix this real quick. And then what we're going to do is add in 2 eggs. And we're going to need some plain Greek yogurt. And I have to pay the dog tax. We want 1/3 cup of plain Greek yogurt. Here comes the third dog. And then we are going to do 3/4 cup of Fairlife milk. And then we need a little bit of vanilla. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of this. And we're just going to give this a quick mix here until everything is fully incorporated. Okay, so we have everything fully incorporated. Stuff in the way. And it's muffin, like cornmeal type consistency. So we are going to grab our silicone. And I highly recommend always using silicone. Best invention ever. Do not eat that. Hey, don't eat that. Because they literally pop right out. I do, when I'm playing with these recipes, I do tend to spray it just because I've had a few things stick. That's usually when I have experimentation going on and I don't know what's going to happen. So we're just going to spray it just to be on the safe side. I use an ice cream scoop. I find that's the easiest way to get it in here without too much effort. So I do about 3/4 of a scoop, and that should give you 12 servings, sometimes 11. So I do have the oven preheating to 350. See if we can get 12 out of this. And you're going to bake it for about 17 minutes. You just have to keep an eye on it. It's like I said, everybody's oven cooks differently. Gas, electric, they're all different. So this batch, I'm only getting 11 muffins out of. I said sometimes 11, sometimes 12. Just depends on how heavy-handed I get with some of my scoops. So today we're going with 11. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this in for about 17 minutes. And then we're going to work on making the meringue. Okay, so muffins are in the oven. We are taking a few different lemon curd recipes, and I have no idea how this is going to work, but we're going to try. If it doesn't work, completely ignore this part of the video. Okay. All right. So we have 2 large eggs and 2 large egg yolks in this pan, and we are going to we're going to do a 1/4 cup of swerve sweetener. And then we're going to do, and this is where it gets interesting, we're going to do a packet of lemon jello mix. I don't know how this is going to work out. It is sugar-free. So put that in here. Just because we want to taste the lemon. And then we're also going to, why not? We're going to do 1 scoop of protein powder. I have no idea how this is going to work. We shall see. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to whisk this up. And then we're going to, so this is nice and combined. Okay, so we have the eggs and the lemon and all the stuff combined here. And then we're going to do 1/3 cup of yogurt, Greek yogurt plain. Because you could do vanilla if you wanted. And then I don't have fresh lemon, so we're going to go with lemon juice. So we're going to use this sparingly. It says 2 lemons. 3 tablespoons of this, let me see, 3 tablespoons is supposed to equal one lemon. So I think we are just going to kind of start with, we'll say 2 tablespoons to start. And I don't know where my tablespoon is, so this could take me a minute. Okay, so we are going to put this over low heat and see what happens. We got to cook the eggs. We still have to cook the eggs, but we got to do it very low, very slow. Okay, so I cooked it on the stove for about 10 minutes on low heat, whisking the entire time so the egg didn't cook and curdle. So it just stayed incorporated. And then I immediately got it transferred into another bowl. The one set of directions that I said to put it through a sieve, but I'm not actually using it like as a lemon curd to, just spoon out into a dish. We're going to put it in the muffins. So I skipped that step because it would make a really big mess. And well, I'm already destroying the kitchen. But I did transfer it into another bowl and just trying to get some of that heat out so it doesn't curdle our egg, which is now basically cooked. But, I've never done this. So in my brain, if we leave it hot too long, it's going to be scrambled eggs. So next step is going to be our meringue. But first, let me show you. I did pull the muffins out in the meantime. And that is what them little babies look like. So probably could have pulled it out a minute sooner. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to attempt to do a meringue. Okay, on to our adventure of the meringue. So we're going to need 6 egg whites. I already have them separated. Be very, 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 very careful you get no yolk in the egg whites. If you have yolk in it, it will not whip. It will not come into peaks. So it's probably not going to anyway, because I'm definitely going rogue with the recipe that I found, but we'll see what happens. So 6 egg whites, we are going to need cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon, and then it calls for powdered sugar. So obviously the sugar substitute. we're going to use protein powder. This is where we may have a problem. And then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, possibly. We'll see because I'm using vanilla protein powder. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to put everything in my bowl and I'm going to start whipping it. And we are going to hope it whips into peaks. And I will show you the finished product when we are done. And it is 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Okay, so the mixer's been going. I have it turned all the way up. We are working on the stiff peaks. No, I'm not doing the whole flip the bowl over the top of my head to see if it is meringue, because y'all know what'll happen. I'll be wearing it. So we're just going to assume we have the stiff peaks we're looking for. So it does call for 5 tablespoons of the powdered sugar. We're doing 5 tablespoons of vanilla protein powder. And what it says to do is to add it in 1 teaspoon at a time. So once it reaches stiff peaks. So I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like. No, I'm not putting it over the top of my head, but we have stiff peaks, okay? So I'm going to turn my mixer back on. And we are going to add in, we're going to cross our fingers. We're going to add in the protein powder and see what happens. Could be meringue, could be a mess. We shall see. Okay, so I have all the protein powder added in. It's no longer stiff peaks, but the recipe does call for xanthium gum, which I do not have. You can substitute cornstarch, or you can substitute the psyllium fiber. I don't know how to pronounce it. So no judgment. Words are hard. So what we're going to do is it calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthium gum. So I kind of looked up the conversion. It says I should do a 1/2 teaspoon of this fiber to thicken it back up, along with a little bit of vanilla for sweetness. And then it also calls for vinegar. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and it says mix this in. And you're just going to whip it until it's nice and thick and glossy. So we'll see what happens. So it's going to be 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon of this fiber, and 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Okay, so the meringue may need a little work, but so it's not like stiff peaks. It's, yeah, probably too much protein powder. I'm not sure. I did do another 1/2 teaspoon of the fiber. I don't know. We'll see. But so just so you know, like these are totally fine without doing this extra stuff. You can just make like 11 protein pudding if you wanted a pudding in it, or they are literally really good just as a muffin with your coffee. But what I've done is I took a knife and I kind of V'd out the center of these. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my cookie scoop here and I am going to fill the inside of these. And then we're just going to put our top right back on there. And then in theory, we're going to put the meringue on top and I'm going to pop it back in the oven under broil because no idea where the blowtorch is. And I don't want to go out in the cold back to work to get one. So we're just going to use the broil in the oven. So some of these I definitely didn't really get deep enough to put a lot of meringue in. Like I said, it's a work in progress. Thought I had more piping bags. Apparently I don't. So we're just going to do a Ziploc bag. The dog is literally standing here looking at me like, you want to spill it? You know you do. You know you do. So we're just going to put it in a Ziploc bag. And I'm just going to cut the corner. Okay, we're going to pop these in the oven under broil and see what happens. So I'm thinking it shouldn't take too long. We're just going to look and see what the top browns, but the meringue recipe I will work on. But really the lemon muffins are great by themselves. I just had a brainiac idea. And like I said, we don't know what's going to happen because my ideas sometimes work and sometimes they don't. And this one was definitely a don't for the meringue part, at least. But the lemon curd and the muffin are fantastic. So it's just the meringue part that we have to work on a little bit. So we're gonna let that just broil here for a few minutes and just kind of get the top browned up. And obviously they're raw egg whites, so you want to cook them anyway. You just have to do it fast so you don't have scrambled eggs. So we'll be back here in just a minute and see what happens. Okay, so they are out of the oven. They have been under broil for about 5 minutes. And this is what we have. So it's definitely the meringue has browned. So let's see what happens when we cut into it. Definitely a crunchy meringue. But we've got our lemon curd and our meringue and all the good stuff. Amazing amount of lemon. So this is pretty good. But like I said, the muffins are great on their own. I just had a bright idea to see if it would work. So kind of works, kind of doesn't. I'll get back to you on the meringue part. But meringue itself is good. I just have to figure out how to get it into peaks, or it works like this. Maybe just kind of set the pieces off to the side and just fill the top. And I don't know. Experiment. Let me know what you find out. But anyway, this is our lemon meringue muffin. I hope you enjoy it. As always, if you have any questions on how to do my crazy recipes, please let me know. I will walk you through them. But this is a very good one, especially with your morning cup of coffee, and you get the protein to boot. So have a great one. Thank you for joining me in Destroying My Kitchen, and I will see you for the next round.